people didn't know about your father was what a rock star he was, and how incredibly important music was to him. Can you kind of elaborate on that for our fans?
My father started playing piano when he was very young. He was incredible, and an incredible piano player. He also did, you know, it used to be that if you were an actor, you sang, you danced, you sword fought, you played with guns, you rode horses. So he liked to dance. As a matter of fact, he said that he's a famous dancer because he doesn't really hurt anybody with his kung fu. But also, he said he wanted to be a rock star. His music I wouldn't call rock.
Right.
Exactly. It's a little softer than that. But he played guitar, he wrote songs, he understood theory very well. He also played other instruments, the flute, the sitar, but piano was his major instrument and guitar was his minor instrument.
Is there one particular memory for you growing up that stands out above the rest about your father?
No, I mean, they just keep flooding in. You know, my father and I had shot a movie that I was aging in, and he took me around the world shooting it. And he put the music to it, so he has piano in it, and I'm just going to go with your music thing. And he has guitar, and he had other people playing cello and violin and things like that. Did my dad give you a hard time?
You know what? I was going to tell you this because when you watch the interview, that I'll send over to you, because it's uncanny. The pause, the way you think about things is identical to what you, it's the gazing into space, thinking about what's next. It's genetic. Your father, he spoke about who we'd want to open up for: Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan. And he said he'd even open up for Beyonce. But he was very gracious. We wanted to talk.
You realize those two guys are very much like my dad. The two guys you mentioned, they never walked away from their ideals. Dylan changed his ideals, but he always stood by his ideals. They didn't ever sell out. They never bent. They stayed. Nothing was more important to them than how they felt about things ever. They were kind of old-fashioned guys.
What's your take on what happened, Calista? What happened?
I actually have a feeling about what happened. I think that my father died a hero trying to rescue a bunch of slaves from some evil slave keeper, and thought he could do it because he's an American, he's a kung fu artist, and he's a movie star, and didn't realize that he's really Bolt the dog and he's not really Superman. Bolt the dog is a superhero, and that my dad thought he could take on something in another country, and it was beyond him. That's what I think. I think he was trying to rescue some young girls.
And what makes you think that? Is it a
feeling?
Intuition?
I think that he insulted them by not wanting something that he brought them that he felt was wrong. And he doesn't like to see anybody, if you came in and you were going to be a big jerk to an animal or a child or maybe even a plant, he'd want to give you a really hard time, and he might be willing to take certain risks to make sure that animal was okay, or that child was okay, or that woman was okay. And that's the feeling I get,
Well, listen, it won't keep you any longer. You're a class act, and just like your father, and so we appreciate the time. And anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's fine.
Thanks so much.
Nice to meet you.